Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you my 2021 Arnold Palmer Invitational, the sleepers, the fades, ownership projections, any insights I've gathered. I thank you very much. If you did click on me, there's a lot of people out there now in the business of trying to predict golf, which is interesting. But I thank you that you stopped by, and I think if you give me 20 minutes, I'll give you some insights and some things that are going to help you with outright betting for your one and done. Probably more yesterday, but for outright betting and GPP, there might be some things here that can help you with that. All right, first thing is I announced yesterday I am doing a giveaway, a players promo. This is for the upcoming Players Milli-Maker. I am going to be giving away or purchasing or sending you money, actually, $20 to 10 different people to cover their entry fee into the Milli-Maker. Of course, if you don't want to use it for that, no problem. Do whatever you want with it. It is your money, but hopefully you'll throw it into the lotto. All right. All you need to do, click the like button on this episode. Subscribe. If you've not subscribed, you must be a subscriber to enter. And then just leave me a comment on who you think will win the Masters upcoming here in April. Funny enough, when I did this, it was actually supposed to be tell me who you thought was going to win the Players, but I messed that up and I already started it. So let's just stick with the Masters. And if you also have an idea of who you think is going to win the Players, throw that out there. I will announce all the winners on my sleeper show next Wednesday, and you'll be notified through YouTube comments. Okay. Let's get into this. All right, so real quick, I always mention I do try to watch all the Tuesday pressers, Wednesday pressers. Again, I recommend, 90% of it is worthless. There's 10% that you might see something that might help you. The only one I actually found was Viktor Hovland, and what I thought was interesting was a couple things. He was talking about his game and why he's been performing the way he's been performing, and what he said was since the Vivint Houston Open, that he has been really working on gaining speed with all clubs. He said he's been gaining about 20 yards more with the driver. He's fading it less. And why I'm bringing this up is in translation, he's also was talking about how it's helping him get out of the rough and hit greens in the past that he could not get to. And so, of course, with Bay Hill, everything they've been talking about is, and everything we know is that it's very high rough, some of the toughest rough to actually hit the greens from. And then even the guy who's running the tournament came out and said the rough is, I guess, high as he's ever seen it. So we'll see how that all translates. I'm just stating that it's just one more indicator that Vic should do very well here. Not that we were worried in the past, but it just kind of makes sense. And the last thing he mentions, and I'll put a link to his presser, is that the 5-point putting system that he's been using. So if you see him and he puts the, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, whatever it is, to kind of, it's like a plumb bobbing kind of system and helping him with break. He say he has full confidence in it. When it's working, of course, it's not going to work all the time, or he's not going to make every putt. But he says his misses are way less. So the short of it is he has huge confidence in his game right now. He's always been confident, but he's even got more confidence about his game from tee to green and on the putting surface. So that is a great mix to have. Now, of course, does that mean everything's going to work out and he's going to win? Nope. But it definitely is some of the key elements that we want to see going into the tournaments that he's going to be playing. Okay, enough about Vic. Just thought you might find that interesting. All right, let's. What I'm going to do is go over my fades, the sleepers. I'm going to go on all the analysis first. Then I'll come back. I'll just highlight my top 5 of each, and we'll go from there. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is just go over ownership projections, because if I don't do it now, I might forget. And that's part of the reason I'm sure you're here. And so, no shocker, the top 5 guys, 6 guys are about the highest owned guys. But out of those, Viktor Hovland, who we were just talking about, almost 21%. And again, this is projections. It's not a for sure, but it's pretty close on. You got Terrell Hatton, Fitzpatrick, Sungjae Im coming behind. DeChambeau would be the least out of those guys, followed by Patrick Reed, which is kind of funny. I'll just start off with the bet. Those are 2 guys that I am fading this week, and I'll talk about why. Let's just go down and see if there's anybody. Paul Casey, who we like. Will Z, I like. Sam Burns. Funny enough, Sam Burns was supposed to be in my picks yesterday, and, he kind of just missed it, and he didn't get in there. But the more and more I'm seeing from an ownership projection and some background history I did on Sam, I'm not super sold that, he's going to do what we think. And what I mean by that is, can he have a top 30? I do have an outright bet on him. I'll just be straight up. I do have a bet on him, but I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to, and I didn't put him as a fade, but if I'm going to fade him. I'm just bringing this up because he's at a very high ownership. I think everybody, typically what I've always seen is when everybody thinks they've got something right, is when it goes south. And a perfect example is Bryson DeChambeau at the past Masters. I think his odds were like 5-1, 8-1 to win, and everybody was, touting he was going to, and then of course he just goes up and just stinks it up. I'm not saying it's going to happen here. I'm almost, funny enough, I said on my last show, or after the WGC, that Harris English is somebody that I'm off, but we're going to talk about Harris. I didn't make him as a pick, but I want to talk to him about him because of how low his ownership is. So let's just do that right now while I'm here. Why I'm talking about Harris English now, he's had some very bad, since the Tournament of Champions, his form has just not been there. But if you were ever going to take a flyer on a guy, I mean, this guy has some tournaments have been, upper 9,000s. I don't know if he made it to 10,000 range, but if we again look at the course and his history here, everything tells you he should have a top 10 here. So again, Bermuda's his best service, almost getting a half stroke against the field when he's putting on it. The guy can play in the wind. We're going to talk about weather towards the end of this, but he gains over a stroke in the windy conditions. And of course, this is what we're talking about here. So technically, I look at this WGC, his recent tournament, that's a miscut. I mean, there's like, 70 guys over there. And they had a miscut and a miscut. And then at the Sony, which is a short track in Bermuda, a 32 for Harris is not good. But of course, he had this run on the short Bermuda tracks where he won top 5, top 6. He was trending in that way. But if you just go look at some past history, if I can type, last year here, he had a 9th place finish. Off the tee was a little bit, but again, he did what he typically does on Bermuda. He's good around the greens, but it's a little bit what's made me a little nervous is the around the green game is typically where he's been elite, has not been as elite. One issue, but again, just so you understand, he's had a long track history here, and he's had some decent finishes. If we look at the comparable courses that I'm looking at, last year also at the Honda, which I would say is probably a little, I don't know if it's tougher, but it's a tough track. He's had 2 great finishes there, an 18th way back here, but just his most 2 recent we're looking at. If you go and we look at the players, where they're going to be heading now, he's had issues there, but that wasn't last year, of course. And what you have to remember, I know this, I think I mentioned this, I had an outright bet on this guy to win the players, and he was right behind Matsuyama in 2nd place after round 1. I just want to make that very clear. So, this data, of course, is going back and looking at when Harris English was just broken. So we can't really go off a lot of that. If we look, I already do the Wyndham. The Wyndham, he's had a great track record. Again, it's not a Florida course, but it's a very similar Bermuda, shorter, about 7,000 yards, but it's done well there. The WGC St. Jude, that doesn't count because I'm looking for the 2020. That's the one. And then we look at the Houston Open, and this isn't the one I was hoping to see. But the Houston Open, because this would have been played, I believe, at Houston Country Club. Let me just verify. Yeah, but it's still a par 72 Bermuda. There's some comparables there, but I think even the one they played previously at Memorial Park is a great representation, but that does come up as a comp course. Long story short, why I'm getting into all this is that I might regret it, but I might take some flyers because of how low his ownership is. He's down to 8,300. He could be a differentiator. And so I just wanted to bring that up. He wasn't a pick. I know previously I said I was fading him, but sometimes when you see ownership, you got to, make some decisions a little different. Okay, let's go through. Cam Davis is pretty high, pretty chalky. Tringali, funny enough, like I said, it's, a lot of my picks, a lot of people are seeing some of the things that I'm seeing. And I'm going to try to get a little different, and we're going to talk about that on my fades. We got Norlander List up there. You got Chris Kirk up there. You got Neesmith. Way down here, Doug Gim. You got Kyle Stanley, which I looked into Kyle Stanley, and I was not excited about what I've seen for Kyle Stanley. So pretty shocked about this. I guess just from let's just take a look while we're here. I'll share that with you guys too, because I already went through this. So as you see, it's not a good putter, but Bermuda's is worse. If the wind blows, he's in trouble. And then if we pull up, maybe he's had, so I guess this is what people are looking at. He's had a 14th and a 17th, but that's back in 2018, 2017. He miscut the most recent. So I'm not excited about that. We look at the players, miscut recently. We look at the Honda, miscut. The Wyndham, miscut. So, I mean, I'm not sure what people are seeing there. Again, it's 7% projected. And, but I'm just saying, yeah, I'm not on Stanley. See if there's anybody else. I don't think there's anybody else that's really highly owned down here low. Okay. So that's enough on ownership projection. That gives you an understanding. If you're trying to differentiate, Matsuyama, showed some life. He's at 5%. Just trying to see. Fleetwood, already one of my picks. He's only at 5%. So that, Billy Horschel, I actually looked at him while we're here. I'll pull him up again. I had him, I don't think too many guys in the industry was picking Billy Horschel. I think I had him as a sleeper last week. Definitely, I called him out and was on him, and he helped differentiate. I think he was like 7% owned or something like that last week in the GPP. But again, the guy loves Bermuda. He's a Florida Gator. Can deal with some wind if that happens. If we pull up Arnold Palmer, nothing fantastic, but he's never missed a cut here. So, 13th would be his best showing. We look at the Honda. He had a miscut in 2018, but he's also had a 4th and an 8th, a 42nd recently, a 16th in 2019. The Wyndham, which, that course I almost see as almost a little better fit. We'll talk about that with him. But yeah, a 2nd and a 6th. And just for my own, see if he played the Houston Open this year. He did not. But if we look back at where Billy had, OHL, a shorter Bermuda course, Sony, TOC, shorter Bermuda courses. So, this course is a little longer, a little more test, but, he just had a 2nd at a longer course, maybe tougher, I would say, from a green perspective, maybe not from a rough perspective. So, with that kind of, I'll probably be playing some Billy Ho, even though I said he wasn't on my top 15 picks, but I'm just pointing things out to you guys as we kind of go through this that might help you. Okay, let's get on to this. So, first thing on the fades. I thought I was going to go into this and be all about Corey Connors for the price. And the more I just sat there and looked at it, I can't play him. I'm going to fade him. The guy, his track record, of course, he can't putt. We already know that. But he can't also play in the wind. And these greens are lightning fast. Now, I've heard that the greens are going to be nothing like last year. Of course, the winds and the way the weather was last year just really made them super crazy firm, super fast. They're still going to be fast. I don't know if I classify them lightning, but I've also heard, though, that, again, we saw that the greens are holding. If you hit the green where you want, you should be able to stop the ball. So, that shouldn't be a problem. But if I just go back and look at, Corey, 2 missed cuts the 2 times he's played here. The players, a 41st. I guess he did not. Well, that's right. 2020. Didn't play the players in 2020. I don't know where he was after round 1. It's funny enough, if you try to go find round 1 for the players, it's pretty hard to track down. I've looked. But I just remember very clearly Matsuyama just shot like a 63 or some lights out, and then English was right behind him. The Wyndham, miscut. The WGC St. Jude. So this is the one I want to look at. This is played, I believe, at Southwind. Yeah, I think it's a good comparable course. The other ones are played I can't think of the track now, but where they played the Bridgestone. Long story short, I'm going to fade Connors. Now, like I said, I thought I'd come on here and he'd be a sleeper. It'd be a great value play, but I can't do it. But you got to make your own decision on that. I'm just giving you the information. Sebastian Munoz, another guy that I thought I'd be like, no way you can't play him. He's under 7K. Typically, Griffin and Munoz, if they're under 7K, they always 10x their value. And I could be wrong on this one, but I'm going to talk to you why I'm going to. Also, you saw the ownership projections for him. Let's just find him real quick again because it's pretty high. Well, it's not ridiculous. I would have to guess that's going to go over 6% when it's all said and done for that price tag. I mean, it's a pretty good value for Munoz, but again, if it gets windy, and we're going to talk about weather, which right now the weather doesn't look as bad as what they were forecasting, so we'll talk about that. But if the wind did blow, he could struggle. But if we look at some of his comparables, so he miscut here last year, and I don't believe he didn't play the players, but the Wyndham. He had a 74th, which that's a pretty easy track. And I'm just terrified of the putter with him. He's an aggressive putter, and I do like that. But I think if you get aggressive on these, that's not the one. you're going to be in trouble. Then to Houston, that was 2009. So I was kind of in between on Munoz. I'm going to go ahead and fade him. Might come back to bite me, but I'm just letting you know. DeChambeau, which it showed he was one of the lesser of the top guys, but of course his game right now is just so sporadic. Everybody's talking up the hype that he's going to drive it over the lake and this and that, and I feel like it's like the Masters all over again. But Bermuda is definitely his worst surface again, and when he struggles, this is what makes me nervous. His approach has been losing around the greens. He did gain putting some strokes. So that's positive. So that was on Bermuda. We look at some past history here. He's had off and on decent, so a fourth, a second, or a 46th or a 27th. The players, a 20th, a 37th. I don't know if he's ever played. He's never played the Wyndham. WGC St. Jude. This is one we want to look at. He had a 30th. And let's just look at what he did at the Houston Open recently. He didn't play. So anyways, for the price, I'm going to probably be looking to put my shares Vic, and like I said, I kind of picked who else was up? Rory. I'd rather just go with what I know. And I see Rory's game trending the right way. I still don't see DeChambeau's game trending in the right way. Who's this? Reed. Usually I'm a fan of Reed, but Bermuda is his worst surface. Can't play all the guys up here. He can do okay and win. He's great around the greens. If we look at his past performance, though, it's been a little. He's had a miscut. I mean, that's way back. But he had a 15th here. But he had a 50th in 2019. So, not super great course history. The players, he's had, a little bit of struggles. Of course, last year he didn't get to play. But he's, 40s there. We look at the Wyndham. He had a 9th, but some 20 seconds. He won there in 2013. WGC St. Jude, a 47th. So that doesn't make me excited. And what did he do at the Houston? He didn't play at the Houston Open. So again, I'm not going to be playing a whole lot of Reed. Also think this is also a little bit of a narrative. Some of these bigger name guys, I think, are going to be already thinking about the players, and they're here, of course, for the king and to show their respects for Arnie. But I'm not saying they're not going to go out and try to win. But if they give a bad Thursday or Friday, they could just mail it in. They might almost. It wouldn't shock me if they had a bad Thursday that they really don't care about Friday. Maybe could withdraw, but just try to get to the players, sooner. Okay, again, that is a narrative. It is not a fact. All right, get out of the way so I can click on the next one here. Okay, let's talk about, it's my last fade, the Hoffman. What's funny is I almost had him as a sleeper. I was really close, but he barely gains on Bermuda. He can play okay in the wind, but he had that 50-second. He's had some crazy, withdrawals or miscuts. If we go look at the Hoff, and I just can't get this guy right. I'll just come around and say it. It seems like every time I think he's going to do well, he is terrible. And if you flip it around, but if we look at his past, again, it's pretty much here. It's either he's top 15 or he's a miscut. So do with that what you may. But like I said, I was looking at playing him as a sleeper, but the more I kind of just sat there and went through it, I was kind of the players last 2 times, miscuts. The Wyndham never made a cut, which I think that was almost a deciding factor for me. I just look at the Wyndham as such a pretty easy track. And if you struggle at that track, I don't know. I just couldn't do it. And then the WC St. Jude doesn't matter because that's not the one I want to look at. What about the Houston? So he had a 29th at the Houston Open, the recent one. It was at Memorial Park. Again, lost, but that is Bermuda, lost on putting. So I am going to be fading him too. Okay, let's talk about the guys that I'm actually looking at. And so what I did is I've got, I think, what we got here? 13 guys. So really, if you look at below like 7,600, I think there's like 70 guys. I went through all of them, sifted through it. And what you're going to see here is these were like the key stat things I was looking at. And so if they had one red, I could deal with it. But if they were like super red and a lot of them, then I just nuked them out. It's a good way to kind of just weed out the guys. So guys that I think that are interesting, and then I'm going to tell you my top 5. But I looked at Shane Lowry, and I'm not going to go through all these guys in detail, but I want you to know, that they are not bad plays. You got Matt Jones. We got Brennan Todd, Alex Noren, Norlander, Luke List, Ben Wyan, Chris Kirk, Neesmith, Zach Johnson. He's never missed a cut here. He's not a sexy play, and I'm not a big fan of Zach Johnson. But if you pull up, let's take a look at the Arnold. He's got a crazy long history. Okay, wait. In 2010, he did miss a cut. But this guy, he's got a 5th, a 9th, and 11th. If you look at the recent, he would be, I call it the condom play, the safe play. But Bermuda is not his best surface. Wind he doesn't show a problem with. We look at recent form with Zach, nothing great. Nothing, he had that little stint here where he had a 7th at Wyndham, had that 8th at the U.S. Open. I think, and he had 11th at Travelers. So he had that little stint, but, again, it's not my top sleeper pick, but it is one. Or it is someone, I would say a better way to put it, is someone to look at. Patty Kazire, I was pretty interested in him. If you look at his splits, loves Bermuda, and funny enough, actually gained strokes against the field and the wind. But when I pulled up, let me see here. Yeah, so I pulled up his past history here. Not good. If we look at the Honda, not good. If we look at Wyndham, okay, but, not great. Again, and I would hope that you could do a little better at there. He doesn't play there. About the Houston Open. Yeah, so this isn't, so again, the Houston Open, again, this isn't Memorial Park. There were some similarities here, rough length average. It is Bermuda, doesn't state here, but it's a par 70. I think there is some crossover. So Patty Kazire to me, he didn't make my top 5 sleepers, but, someone that you might want to look at. Okay, the last couple guys that you might want to take a look at is John and KH Lee. I will pull them up real quick, and we can just take a quick look at, again, these are not my top 5, but there's some positives. Putting on Bermuda is a positive surface, can handle the wind. If we look at his past, he's never missed a cut at the Arnold Palmer. His best was a 26 here in 2018. If we look at the Honda, missed cut recently, but, had some decent history there. We'll just put it that way. Decent's about the best I could do for that. What about the Players? Not so good at the Players. What about the Wyndham? Yeah, I wouldn't say anything exciting there. But again, let me just see what he did at the Houston Open recently. He had a 48. I don't think he's played the WGC. So again, he didn't make my top 5 sleepers, but it is someone that you might want to consider. Okay, let's see. Last one was KH Lee, and then we'll get into the guys that I am going to be recommending. And again, these guys I just think are just interesting to look at. So occasionally, barely positive, but his best putting surface is Bermuda. Again, okay in the wind. Has some decent recent history. Had to miscut the Farmers, but other than that, all right. 66th at Genesis, not the best. That is Bermuda, so a little bit of struggles there. But if we look at the Arnold Palmer, he had a 42nd here last year. The Honda, a 38 and a 7th. The Wyndham, he's miscut, so that's not good. But what about WGC? He hasn't played. What about the recent Houston? And he miscut. So again, there is some positives with KH Lee here. But anyways, all right, let's talk about the guys that I am going to be picking as my top 5 sleepers. All right, first one's Chris Kirk. As you see, been doing well since the RSM, except for that miscut at the Waste Management. If we take a look at the Arnold Palmer, not last year, but a great history, a few top 15s or better. If we look at the Honda, miscut, but he had, at least some history there, some okay history in the past. We look at the Players, made the cut every time, so Chris Kirk could be very live for the Players. We need that guy to fill in your roster at the bottom. What about the Houston Open recently? He had a 44th. And I think that's everything. Did I look at the Wyndham already? And the Wyndham never missed a cut there. So Chris Kirk is definitely someone I will be on from a sleeper perspective. Henrik Norlander, there's not a whole lot from a comp course. I'll take a quick look again, but I'm going on recent form. He's good on Bermuda, Really good in the wind if it blows. He did have that miscut at the Genesis, so he might be a little, out of sight, out of mind. I think, what do you have at ownership? Let's see. I just want to confirm. So 12% ownership projection right now. So he's not super sneaky sleepy, but I think people are going on this. I mean, we look at his recent form from a stroke gain analysis. It's been great. Nothing you can really complain about. And I think did I say the Houston Open? He had a miscut the recent Houston Open. But yeah, I just don't think he has enough rounds at the courses that I'm looking at. So this one's probably the one that I'm going more on recent form. Matt Jones, good on Bermuda, great in wind. If we look at Mr. Matt Jones here at the Arnold, he had a third place back in 2015. Most recent was a 47th. If we look at the Honda, some decent, I'll put decent course history there. But it has a couple miscuts sandwiched in with an 18th, a 36th, and a 47th. The Wyndham, he had a 37th recently, but a few miscuts before that. The WGC St. Jude, this is the course I want, and he had a 59th. And last, I just checked the Houston Open. We're at Memorial Park. He made the cut, had a 63rd, but I like Matt. Brendan Todd, who I've been on, like I said, I think the guy's just solid. Great on Bermuda. As you see, can handle himself in the wind. He hits fairways and greens. He had that miscut at the Genesis, but I think got some people off him. But he had a good track on the Bermuda short courses. Let's take a look. So at the Honda, not good at the Honda. But at the Arnold Palmer, he had an 18th here last year, but miscuts before that. But again, his game wasn't nowhere near where it's at now or has been. We look at the Wyndham, again, the game wasn't where it was at. But, in 2020, he did miss a cut there. WGC St. Jude, that is the one that I am wanting to look at. And he had a 15th there. And then lastly, I don't know, but let's see if he played at the Houston Open recently. It was 2019, so I'm not going to really count that. Where was that at? That was at CC of Houston, which is a pretty decent comp course. I'm just trying to remember. It is Bermuda. Yeah, so we'll count that. So I like Brendan Todd. And my last pick, Mr. Matthew NeSmith, who's just been playing, he's great by the model. I've missed on this guy before where I think everything points in a direction that NeSmith should do well, and they go out and will bomb. Then I'll get off him, and then he'll do great. Almost a little bit like the Hoffman. But is positive on Bermuda. Can play in the wind. I don't know if he has, so he missed last year at the Arnold. The Players has not been in maybe this year. The Wyndham, a 42nd and a miscut. Did he play in the W? No. And I don't, what did he do at the Houston Open? And he missed a cut at the Houston Open. So again, a little bit like my Norlander pick. This is going off recent form and, the Bermuda and the wind. All right. Well, I said let's go now and jump into my pick. Okay, so my top 5 sleepers to sum up. We are going with Chris Kirk, Mr. Norlander. We got the Todd father, Mr. NeSmith on his good recent form, and of course Matt Jones, the Australian, who can handle himself in the wind and likes Bermuda, and it had shown good recent form. My phase, as kind of stated, Connors just cannot putt. I'm terrified of him on these greens. I think, the guy can hit the ball, of course, off the tee well. He can hit a good on approach and not a bad value, but I'm going with the putting is going to, probably put him somewhere, if he does make the cut, end up in the 40s or 50s for a finish. Mr. Munoz, I just think, again, with the putter, could really bother him here. But a good value at 6,700 is very rare that I ever fade Munoz if he's below 7K. DeChambeau, again, this is purely just, I think the guy right now is just all over the map. And I got to put my money elsewhere at that price tag. Patrick Reed, same thing. I think could be looking a little forward to the Players. I don't know, I think not that his game doesn't fit here, but some recent, past history shows it's maybe not worth the price tag. And then the goofy Hoffman, who, who knows? He could go out and win this tournament. If I'm fading him, as I said, I never get him right. So it wouldn't shock me that he does amazing, but I'm off him this week. And then weather, as I kind of mentioned. So we talked about weather yesterday, but I am recording this about 1:30 Eastern time on Wednesday. The only area looks like Thursday, Friday looks fine. I mean, nothing here I see, but really it looks like now it's going to be Saturday where the winds could get up to 28. and some rain. And then Sunday actually now is shaping up. Looks, again, some wind, but nothing to be, super concerned about. So just note to self, keep an eye on it. I'm pulling this off Wind Finder. And the closest spot that I could find was the Orlando Executive Airport. Looks like, I don't know, maybe an hour away, hour drive. So not that far, but there was nothing like right next to the course. So I'll just let you know that. And that's it. Hopefully, with all that information, you can optimize your GPP lineups, get some ideas maybe on some long shots that you're looking if you want to bet. And of course, for your one and done, I always mentioned yesterday's show, nobody in here. But if he hasn't used Terrell Hatton, could be a good time to use him. I would save Rory for the players. And I'm trying to think of anybody else that possibly I mentioned. I don't know. From a one and done perspective, that's all I can think of top of my head. Again, if you like what you see, please hit the like. If you don't, hit the don't like. Tell me what I could do better. I'm always looking to improve. If you've not subscribed or not yet signed up through YouTube, just please do it. It's worth it. It keeps these people that are creating content doing it for free, and we put a lot of time and effort in it. So would appreciate if you just need to sign up for YouTube and be able to subscribe. That'd be great. Also, turn on notifications. Put out 3 shows, sometimes some learning shows, so you'll be notified of any new thing that comes out. And again, if you have anything you'd like to ask me or comments, you can do it on the YouTube comments or hit me up on Twitter at DFS Golf Guru. I will give you my advice and any thoughts or opinions that hopefully will help you. All right, best of luck. Let's go out and win some money this weekend. I'm still excited about this tournament, of course, and very excited. Don't forget about put your comments for the promo, and I will be making those picks next week. Talk to you guys later. All the best to us.